Hello, Mr. McCauley here. This video is on the very basics of making a website. We're in the middle of making a website for the physical regions of Canada. All the students receive this kind of template where there's multiple pages, and I think there are 7 different regions. There's 2 kids working on one website, so each child is going to do 3 pages, and they can decide how to split up the last region. This video is really on the how-to. How do you create content using the Google Docs websites called Google Sites? Um, how do you add pictures? How do you add text and things like that, and how to organize it? Anyways, let's jump into it. The home page starts off looking like this. I just picked a very generic background, not a very good picture down here. I'm going to change the image. I'm going to select an image to put in there. I'm going to search and I'm going to say, how about a map of Canada? That would be good for the opening of the of my website. Let me try this guy here. Double click on it and say select, and there we are. Not too bad. It really is blocking the text a lot. So you see it automatically changed the color for me. I could also change that myself as well. If I don't like anything, there's an undo button way up here. So if anything goes wrong, I can always undo it here. Um, in this introduction, students are going to just give an introduction about what they're going to see by saying, hey, this is my website about the physical regions of Canada. Um, and this here is contained in a text box. If I want to add more pictures, I could do that as well. Let's jump over to one of the actual pages and take a look at that. I'm going to go to the interior planes. This is a basic setup that I've given the students. They have the title up here, and I've asked them to think about 3 different areas that they can add content. What are the physical features of the interior planes? What is the climate like? What's the weather like? What are the natural resources that were there? And this interesting fact is just, a catch-all of anything else they want to say. If there's something different that they want to add, they're free to add another text box and add that as well. Okay, I'm going to jump over to one I started filling in, which is the Cordillera. The Cordillera region is really by the Vancouver and the BC kind of region, stretches up all the way up to the Arctic. Now, all the students, I've given them a series of booklets that I photocopied about each region. So I'm not asking the students to go into this blind. They have a bunch of information. For example, here's information on the Cordillera. I'm going to post this in Google Classroom. So there's a download. You can download a PDF if you want to take a look at it. As you go through this for the different sections, now hopefully they brought this home. They brought the paper home for the different booklets that they're working on. So here it talks about the physical features right here. So the information for the physical features, it's right here on the second page of this booklet. Then we go into what's the climate like. And in the Cordillera, because it stretches so far, you've got the north zone where, of course, it's kind of cool. And you've got the Vancouver Island kind of section, which is hot and wet. And you've also got different regions here. And it talks a little bit about that. I'm asking each students to probably write 3 or more sentences in each of the boxes for each one of those. And here's talking about the people of the region. That could go into the interesting facts or section about the people. And here are some of the jobs they do. So here's it talks about some of the different resources they would have, like trees, mining, and different water resources. So that would end up in this resources section, et cetera, et cetera. Let's take a look at how to make a page look visually interesting. Again, we can change the image here. Let's select an image. I'm going to search again, and I'm going to type in, is there something Cordillera that I can look at? If not, I know that mountains are an important part of this region, so maybe a picture like that. Looking good. So here's some information I got from the booklet. In the physical features, I usually like the title on top and then the sentences underneath, and I'll show you why in a minute. The main physical features of the Cordillera is the large mountains known as the Rockies. So I've got my information, but I want to look a little better. So if I want to change the text, normal text looks like this. Maybe that could be my heading. So now I've got something that looks like that. And down here, climate, maybe change that to heading, etc. I can also change the way this actually looks by clicking on the palette here. It gives me some examples. So maybe I want this part to be gray, and this section could be black, and then this section again could be gray. Oops, sorry, palette. So let me do it again. Up here, the palette could be gray, and maybe this one could be black. So it just looks a little bit different. And you can just organize like that. You can also, it can get very visually busy. You can also add a picture to here. So maybe there's an image or something like that that you can use. So I'm starting to look that it's a little more organized. Let's say I want an image right here for the physical features. So I can move this over perhaps, and I can add a text. I can add an image right here. In the insert menu, there's a whole bunch of things that you are able to insert in your website. Let's go to images here. I can click here. If I double click in the empty area, I also get this kind of wheel where I can pick images. And let's say for the physical features, I'm gonna type in. Let's have another mountain picture. Oh, I gotta go to search. My bad. A mountain picture, and let's go for this one here. It's a little bit too large, so I can resize it there. Maybe for the climate, I'm gonna move it over this way. Over here, I'm gonna insert a picture. Let's go for climate. Part of the Cordillera, it kind of rains in Vancouver. So let's go for rainy Vancouver. Will that help at all? Okay, so let's take a look. I'm going to go with this picture right here. Maybe it's not the best picture, but you get the idea. Now visually, it's a little more interesting. I've got some text on some side. I've got the subheadings a little bit larger. I'm adding pictures here. I don't necessarily need a background picture. I got double resources here. I'm gonna have to edit that out later. But you get the idea now of how you can make a page visually interesting. Okay. Now, like I said, there are different pages that different students are going to make. Most of them have the same kind of template here. I know, for example, the Canadian Shield doesn't have that, so you can add that yourself by adding a text box and typing in physical features, etc., and get that done. So that is a really, I don't know how quick, but a really quick-ish lesson in how you can make your website look awesome. One big tip again, really take a look at the booklets when you're doing it because it has all the information in there. If you want some other information or something doesn't make sense, that's when I would go to do maybe a Google search or looking at some of the books we have in our classroom. Anyways, that's it for now. Thanks.